Well, a week and a half ago, the Washington Post changed the debate over the 2016 election with an article that quoted anonymous sources who'd recently received a CIA briefing given to Congress. According to those sources, the CIA concluded that the Russian government intervened in our presidential election to help Donald Trump win. Journalist Glenn Greenwald is the founder of The Intercept. He's spent years covering the intersection of politics and intelligence, and he joins us now from Rio de Janeiro to assess that coverage. Glenn, it's good to see you tonight. So here's the story. I know you read it. It really had an instantaneous effect on the way people are covering the post-election sort-out. It said, quote, the CIA has concluded in a secret assessment that Russia intervened in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump win the presidency. That sentence right there changed everything here in Washington. Should we believe that assessment?
We should be extremely skeptical of it for multiple reasons. To begin with, this is a secondhand report, so you have somebody whose identity is being shielded describing what the CIA supposedly concluded, laundering that through the Washington Post. These are assertions that are being made completely unaccompanied by any evidence whatsoever, let alone evidence that we can touch and rationally review. There's all kinds of reasons to suspect the CIA statements, including the fact that they're wrong all the time. They're programmed in a lot of cases to disseminate disinformation, and there's lots of reasons to view them as political actors. And so I think we ought to be highly skeptical.
But what's interesting, I agree with that assessment completely. I mean, they're sometimes right, they're sometimes wrong, but they're certainly skilled in deception. That's what they do. And yet, politically, here in Washington, the response has been, well, if you don't believe this account of analysis by the CIA, you're somehow acting on behalf of the Kremlin, or you're not patriotic, or you're insulting the memory of the CIA officers who've died in the line of duty. Have you seen that kind of response before?
I saw it from a Democratic congressman, Adam Schiff, actually, when you interviewed him last week, and all you were doing was asking him for evidence, and he told you should go to put your show on RT. And in my journalism, this is the response I've been getting for many months now, as not even when you deny that it happened. I mean, nobody should deny that Russia might have done this. Of course Russia might have done this. This is the kind of thing that all states do, and certainly Russia. But all you do is ask for evidence before believing it, before embracing it as true. And that alone subjects you to accusations that you might be disloyal, that you're somehow a tool of the Kremlin. It's a really toxic environment that I think Democrats have created, a little bit out of desperation and out of political maneuvering as well. But it is quite dangerous.
Well, it is so weird that Russia is the focus. I mean, speaking for myself, I'm agnostic on Russia. I don't speak Russian. I've never been to the country. I don't have strong feelings about it one way or the other. I'm willing to believe anything, basically. I'm open-minded. And yet, all of a sudden, Russia seems to be villain number one. Why is that? It seems strange.
You know, one of the really interesting things is in 2012, when Mitt Romney ran against Barack Obama, the Democrats mocked Romney mercilessly for depicting Russia as the #1 geopolitical threat. And they released a video saying Mitt Romney's stuck in the Cold War. He doesn't understand the 21st century. Obama in the debate said the 1980s want their foreign policy back, to think that Russia is this grave threat. And throughout the Obama presidency, he tried accommodating Putin. He didn't arm anti-Russian factions in Ukraine. He tried to cooperate with him in Syria. It was really an election year political theme that the Democrats manufactured out of whole cloth, that the Russians, that Putin pose some sort of existential threat to the United States, that they're our enemy, our entrenched enemy, and we all have the patriotic duty to resist it. And it's not working. The Americans don't wake up and worry about Vladimir Putin, but Democrats seem to be digging in further into this losing political attempt.
Well, see, I guess what bothers me about it is that unlike the attack on the Trotskyites, who were sort of a powerless group exiled to Mexico City, Russia's a real country with nuclear weapons. And are there consequences of what we've seen in the last 6 months, where our foreign policy seems to have shifted to a pretty hostile posture toward Russia? That seems reckless to me, if in fact there's only a political motivation behind it.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the Democrats were very alarmed by Trump's accepting this phone call from the president of Taiwan, based on the not invalid argument that China is a nuclear armed power and a formidable threat, and we should be careful about producing unnecessary confrontation, which I agree with. But the same is true of Russia. To sit here and sort of suggest that Vladimir Putin lurks behind every American problem, to concoct these wild, elaborate conspiracy theories, to try and convince Americans that Russia is this grave threat to the United States, that we all have to stand up, I think it's incredibly dangerous, not just because it creates a toxic environment domestically, but because it's very dangerous. It can put us on a path of almost unintentional confrontation with a country that can do a lot of damage.
That's the way it seems to me. I don't think you and I have ever voted for the same person, so it's nice to hear you say that because it makes me feel less crazy. I thought I was missing something. Glenn Greenwald, thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it.